is our interview last week. Freaking CTO of New Tech, and we lose him.
Well, there's life. Okay, let's see. I think we're back now.
You know how like people say you can crack the mirror? I just cracked the stream. Jeez, I thought this made me look good this light. Okay, we're back in action.
Are we back? Okay.
The chat's telling me we're good. Charlie, what did I miss? It was Tom just telling me that he can't believe that I have done this to his show. I'm a show ruiner.
Oh, that must be it. That must be it. Well, in truth, I asked Tess to send me 1080, and we are broadcasting to YouTube in 1080. So there's a lot of bandwidth being used. I did a test this morning. I think I had 70 down and 35 up. So there should be plenty of bandwidth.
Okay.
So we'll have to check later.
Can I drop my bandwidth live,
or
should I just say forget it?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay.
You're fine. Rich says the flux capacitor kicked in, so that was probably it. Happens all the time.
Listen, you know that I'm no stranger to problems while live. I completely, understand how that goes.
Well, and that's what it is in a new industry like this, Tess, where, it's not like driving a car. It's not where, everybody knows to turn the key and put the car in gear and to look both ways and then pull out. That workflow is pretty well established. The workflow in live streaming, it depends on the products you're using. Basically, every car has a steering wheel. Not every live stream streams the same way. And so with that unique quality from stream to stream, from product to product, people's workflows have to adjust. And when you, like you guys are doing all sorts of cutting edge stuff, sooner or later something's going to break. But once it breaks a couple of times and you fix it a couple of times, then you know how to keep from how to prevent it from breaking the next time.
Right.
RJ's
yes, I will say you do
outdoor.
learn something every time.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And it
just seems like no matter. Sorry.
No, you got it.
I was just going to say that it seems like no matter how much you've perfected your workflow and your shows or how long you've been doing it for, unforeseen issues always arise at some point in time. It's hard not to just, get so scared and just freeze. But you're much more experienced with that than I am, so you don't worry about it when things like that happen.
It's like emotional calluses, after having 1,000 things break in the middle of a live stream, you just get used to it, and you just have to keep going until you find the problem.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I don't get the feeling anymore that I did the first show we had, that, my gut just dropped to the floor. When you were my guest, on the very first show I did, I thought I was going to pass out.
Well, you did great. It did not appear that way. And I mean, now I would think you would be able to pull it off no problem as a loner, all by yourself, solo show.
Yeah, I will be 2 weeks from now, I believe.
Okay. And what's
going on vacay? A bachelor party.
A bachelor party. He's not a bachelor.
He's going on a well, he's a guest on a bachelor party.
Yeah, well, pants.
So I'll be on my own.
That's the only word I have to say for him. Pants. Pants. Yeah. he can't hear this, can he? Or else it's delayed. But no, you've got the job I want, because you've got this giant warehouse right there behind you with all these toys in it. And and then you've got engineers like Matt Davis that are creating more toys or
genius,
breaking things apart and putting them back together a different way, and creating something that wasn't a thing before. I mean, what fun is that? Holy cow! Gee whiz!
It's a lot of fun, and things I didn't think were cool before. Now that I'm learning about them, I'm like, wow, this stuff is really cool. And I feel lucky every day to work here because I enjoy my job. But it's just a cool atmosphere to be in. Like, we have a giant 3D LED screen sitting in the warehouse right now. that I just went in the other day and I was like, cool, I'm just watching 3D screens in the middle of work. I mean, it's like especially for you guys in your audience, Tom, this is like a playground. It's a lot of fun.
So I think Paul needs to have a play day. We'll set a play date, and everybody can fly into Pennsylvania and play with all your toys. I think you guys ought to have an open house. I
Hey,
think
you
it would
might
be
have just gave us an
spectacular.
idea.
Yep. And you could,
Well,
of course, you
Streaming
could live
Awards was
stream
an
it.
open invitation, but
Yep.
maybe next year's Streaming Awards will be even bigger, and we can sell it more as a play day type thing as well.
No, the play date needs
That's
to
an
be all
idea.
by itself. Because the streaming awards, you guys are
You
going to
think
hold
that
in a
okay.
yeah, you're going to hold that in an auditorium next year. You'll have to have all the people.
You think?
Oh yeah, because everybody will come. Oh yeah, golly gee.
Yeah. I mean, the first year with these events is always you don't know what's going to happen and you're not sure what to expect, but maybe next
Right.
year we'll be able to grow it to that place. That would be
Right.
amazing.
Right. Well, and what you want to do is you want to mimic. I think you want to mimic the Academy Awards, and you want to have guest announcers. So you're going to bring in somebody that's going to present this award.
The Tom Sinclair.
Well, or Zach Adams is going to. Is going to come in and present the award for best producer because he won it last year. That kind of stuff. So you kind of wind it
Right.
all together from year to year. Zach's going to be on our
I
show
like your
next
idea.
week. Actually, we're doing a special nighttime version.
Really?
At 7 o'clock Eastern.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
I just caught him on Luria's show
Uh-huh.
on Live
Yep.
Streaming Pros.
Zach and I
Good
go
for him.
way back to the VidBlaster days. Holy cow. Yeah. That was
Really?
That's ancient
Maybe
history.
he'll. Is that your first name?
I did a show called That VidBlaster Guy. Yep. And that's back when we thought
I wonder,
VidBlaster
a
was
question
gonna
for
be the next
you.
best. Yeah.
What made you change that name?
The show was specifically about the software, VidBlaster. And
Oh.
just like you guys realized
Okay.
with the PTZ Optics shows, when you went to Stream Geeks, that's when we created Streaming Idiots, because we needed something that
There
didn't
you
limit
go.
us as much, and we could talk about not just
Exactly.
software, but we could talk about cameras and microphones and mixers and the whole nature of streaming, and we could bring in guests that weren't necessarily VidBlaster people. And so it just opened the door. And then after I saw the handwriting on the wall, after about 6 months, we just retired the show. And then, of course,
Yeah.
vMix just was on the ascendancy at that point and just was taking over the market. And so we had to go with vMix. There was no choice. It was too good. It was too good not to go with.
Is there any information we could pull out of you on your business negotiations that you were hinting at?
Yeah, that didn't work. That didn't work. Yeah, it looked like we were going to private label and be a CDN, but it just didn't work. Right
Really?
now,
I could have
actually,
used you this weekend.
yeah. Right now, actually, I'm building a prototype for a streaming PC to be used in elementary schools. So we're hoping to bring that to
Really?
market through a reseller. Yeah.
That sounds cool.
It's
I
gonna be
mentioned to
cool.
Paul, I was like, maybe we should do become a CDN, and that didn't work out either. I tried. Maybe that's just not. I don't know.
You gotta stay with your core talents, and whatever
Yeah.
those core talents are, you can branch out into other industries, but it's still using that core talent. I mean, if all of a sudden the medical industry woke up and said they needed an NDI PTZ camera, you guys would be perfectly positioned for that. But y'all are not going to go
Yep.
in and start making operating room equipment. It's not your core talent. It's not what your guys do and what they like to do. Stay with your core talent. Your core talent is on the ascendancy. You guys are on the right part of the wave. I'm convinced of it, and you're riding the wave beautifully. Yeah, kudos to Paul
thank you
and
for
you
that.
and all the other folks that are steering the ship there at PTZ Optics. Yep. Yeah, and
Thank you.
I had
Appreciate that.
a 10 camera order for you guys week before last that we ended up shipping to Switzerland.
I heard.
I mean, go figure. And that was a
That's good
great
stuff.
guy, Martin. I think Martin's in the chat
It's good
room
for
today.
everyone.
It was good for everybody. Yep. And we had a hiccup, but we fixed it and moved on. Yeah. So
Yeah, we love working with you, Tom.
so what's next for Tess? What are you going to do next? What if you could do anything with live streaming, what would you do
Well,
next?
if I could do anything with live streaming, of course I'm interested in beauty blogging, but I have this idea for a different workflow that might be able to implement live streaming and recorded content together and make it work for a nice smooth transition for those people moving from recorded to live. So we've been talking about our Z cams, okay? Now these are not pan tilt zoom cameras, but they have a great picture. That's what you're seeing out of right now. And I'm trying to convince Paul to let me have one of these, so we'll see. Because I want to take it home. I want to put it on a tripod just as if it were the ever so popular, oh my gosh, digital SLR cameras that all the
Okay.
bloggers use.
Okay.
That's what they're used to. They may not be comfortable with pan tilt zoom cameras maybe, or maybe they don't want a bunch of different, they have static images a lot of the times.
Right.
But with, for example, the Z cams, they're affordable and you can hook up right to your internet and you can stream from them. So what I'm thinking is you would have a recorded piece of content already prepared of the beauty tutorial, and then you would make your live streaming event where you would then play the recorded content and communicate with your audience about what you're doing, how you're doing the application, fast forward through the boring parts and whatnot, and be able to answer questions live about whatever that makeup application is. Specifically, since I'm interested in stage makeup, I have this idea for this upcoming Halloween, and you guys can tell me in the chat if you think that this is lame. Even though you're all men, you can just tell me because you know. I wanted to do maybe like a 13-day Halloween makeup live splurge. So I would have 13 pieces of recorded Halloween looks, makeup looks for girls that could be easy and fun for Halloween makeup looks. Now, I haven't even told Paul this, so this might just be ridiculous. So you have 13 looks. You go live for 13 days in a row, displaying the recorded content of the look, answering questions about where you can get the makeup, how the makeup's applied, while you're showing the tutorial. That's my big idea. Hopefully nobody steals it from me. What do you think, Tom?
I love it. I love it. Now, you have a little bit of a history of this kind of makeup. I mean, it's not like this is a new idea that you've never done before. Don't you? Let's see if we can bring in something like that.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Here.
I sent you some video clips. The one was the butterfly fairy makeup. Every Halloween I've always like
Hi everyone,
sorry,
Tess
go ahead.
Protesto here. Welcome to my channel.
So let's fast forward just a tab.
Focus to show what product I'm using. I'm starting by making
This
a
is so
thin
neat.
black line at the top of where.
And we'll fast forward just a little bit more.
Now I'm going to create some more.
Oh my
bone
gosh,
dimension
you
outside
grabbed
where I
this
made
one.
two-
Oh my gosh,
two
you're embarrassing
triangular
me.
shapes around.
And we'll fast forward just a little bit more.
Basically, I do at the end.
So now I'm going to go back in and just sort of fix things that I didn't think looked perfect before. Maybe add a couple thin black lines to.
That is too cool. That is too cool. Tess?
I have a
love it.
lot of fun.
It looks like you're having a lot of fun.
That's basically the idea. And also because I don't have a lot of time to maybe do something so consistent right now, that's why I'm thinking of 13 pieces of content, put it out there and wait and see how the reaction is to that. It's also prime time when girls are YouTubing Halloween makeup ideas, easy makeup for Halloween.
Right.
So that's kind of my approach right now.
Awesome. Well, and if you had a sponsor that provided a particular piece of equipment or makeup or something like that, and that sponsor could not just do that, but actually could throw in a few bucks to help you promote it online.
If Paul maybe would let me, maybe I would film it here or something. It's potential. I don't know.
Just saying.
He's watching now, so he'll have to tell me what he thinks.
I mean, the no pants video from 2 weeks ago has gone viral, at least in my world. We've almost got 10,000 views on it.
Really? That's awesome, Tom.
That's how many people wanted to see Paul without pants. Yeah.
Listen, it was really smart of you to pick out a piece of that entire show that really would have done that, like, you know, gotten you that extra edge. That's what I always try and do, and it's easier said than done, but you have an eye for it, huh?
Well, you know, I know what I like. I know what I like, and I know what I think is. I mean, this show right now, if you go to YouTube and you look on genre, you know what this show is classified as?
What?
Comedy.
I laugh every time.
It's comedy. That's right. I mean, but we're learning, we're having fun, we're laughing, and we feel good when it's done. You know, we come away feeling, oh, that was fun. I can't wait to do that again next week. And that's one of the reasons why I shortened my show from an hour to a half an hour, because I want people to say, oh, that wasn't long enough. I want to go watch another one, or I can't wait till next week. You know, it's like
I like that idea.
It's like a good dessert. You don't want to fill them up with it.
Right.
You want to give them just enough so they taste it and enjoy it and want more. Yep. Leave them wanting more. Yeah. Yeah. So I love the fact that you guys
Nice
are doing
approach.
Today's show was the PTs. What was the show that you did today? Wednesday's show?
We do Back to Basics.
Back to Basics. And that's a half an hour show, right? Mm-hmm. I love it.
Yeah, even shorter sometimes, but yeah, half an hour.
Yep.
It's supposed to be quick, to
Yep.
the point.
I'm thinking about starting a 10-minute show.
Really?
Yeah, like on Mondays or Tuesdays or maybe Fridays after you guys or something like that. That's just, you know,
Yeah.
just straight and to the point, some good tips, some meaty stuff, and then boom, you're out. We'll see that.
That's what people like. I had for a long time thought I was just going to do 2-minute makeup tutorials.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I have so many different ideas, but it's hard for me to find time to implement them. But that was another thing. It's like people don't have time to watch long things. They fast forward to the end anyways. So I like that idea for short, to the point, but great value.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. Well, Tess, we're going to have to cut this show. I mean, we could chat all afternoon.
I could talk to you all day.
Yeah,
we know
you got to
we
go
can.
pick up kids in 18 minutes. So we're gonna
Well, thank
end
you
the
for having
show.
me.
But I want you to hang around for just a few minutes and chat, because I think
Sure.
the folks in chat would
No
love
problem.
to ask some questions. But we're gonna wrap up here, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you've watched this far on YouTube, you need to go ahead and subscribe. You're hooked. You want more, I know. I'm Tom Sinclair. It's EasternShoreBroadcasting.com. If you've got an interest in vMix or Magewell capture cards, PTZ Optics cameras, we represent PTZ Optics. We also represent the great guys that make the X keys. So come join us. And next week, when we have Zach Adams on the show, it's going to be a special 7 p.m. Eastern Time show. And Zach is the winner of the Streaming Awards. He won the whole thing, as well as getting the number one in the production category. So he won the production category and he won the overall award. Zach and I go way back to the Vid Blaster days, and he's going to be on the show. That's next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be really cool. Thanks for tuning in. If you're watching live, hang out for the post show. We'll be back with that in just a minute. And if I can find my outro here, where is the outro? I moved all my buttons around. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, see y'all. Take care. Okay, Tess, your mic is live now. I know how much you guys like to be live during the credits.
Oh, I'm live? Geez, so you did that just for me, didn't you?
Just for you.
Paul, are you hearing this?
And we are out. The recording is done. We are in post show now. And,
Phew, now we can just like be crazy, and
that's right.
the important people are watching
right.
the post show.
Well, it's a huge post show group. So guys, if y'all have got questions for Tess, now is the time to post them. Chad says, "Nice work, folks. Tess and Tom show on the horizon." Well, there's already a Tess and Paul show. Actually, it's a Paul and Tess show. We need to get a show with Tess as the first one in the. Yeah, I said. Jan says, "Streaming idiots makeup tips with Tess and Tom."
Streaming idiots makeup tips. Maybe if we get in the same room one day, we'll record something for that.
Well, I think
I'll put some makeup on you, Tom.
you know, you could do something like that for live streaming, because I don't know that anybody's really broached that subject very much.
Yeah.
You know, and I think especially guys, because I'm looking at myself and I'm going, you know, I'm 61 years old. I've got some spots, you know, maybe I've got some redness, maybe I've got something. It would be nice if I knew how to make myself look more presentable on camera. And I'd do it. I wouldn't tell anybody I did it. You know, if you asked me, I'd lie and tell you I didn't. But I would do it if you'd teach me how. I tell you what, we'll do a show. We'll do a show, you and me, and we'll do it virtually. And you can say, okay, Tom, take some of this, and I'll take some of that. You said, okay, do it here. You know, brush it on here, do this, and as long as you don't make me look like a skeleton, I'll give it a try.
Maybe we could do a basic tips for men who are in front of the camera specifically.
Yes.
That might be something interesting to do. Our audience is a lot of men for both of us.
Right.
And maybe they secretly would be interested in maybe just some little tips. This would just be powder if you have a shiny head, or maybe some cover up if you have a blemish or something you want to cover up.
Right.
That's a good idea.
So we've got to find some bald people to come on the show. Okay, Jan says makeup can't do miracles. So yes, Jan, I get it. I get it. Ken says that PTZ Optics needs to make a camera that automatically applies makeup. Tom Willis, Tommy says, do you have a favorite brand?
What is he talking about? Favorite brand?
He's going to go out and buy
okay,
some.
My
That's
go-to?
what it is.
No, this is actually good because, listen, you have some older gentlemen in your audience, and I always am afraid of premature wrinkles. So I use Old Lady foundation, believe it or not, and it's by It Cosmetics. You can buy it on HSN or QVC or, you know, Sephora. You guys don't go to Sephora. But it's called It Cosmetics, and that's my favorite. Foundation's the most important.
Foundation is the most, well, that makes sense. Foundational stuff.
If any older woman was to ask me what kind of foundation she should get, I would totally recommend It Cosmetics. Didn't Homer Simpson design a makeup gun one time? Yeah, that is on something, a makeup gun. It's either South Park or The Simpsons. No, I think it is The Simpsons.
Homer Simpson.
That's funny.
Yeah, there's your cue. All right. Very good. Very good. Well, we'll have to do that sometime. We'll maybe we can do it before Halloween. That would be now because we're competing with all the people that are doing Halloween makeup. So maybe we'll do something maybe after the first of the year.
True.
You'll come back on the show.
All right.
And do makeup for guys. And it could be kind of an appearance kind of thing. I mean, maybe I could get a panel of people that could talk about, you know, what colors you want to wear, how you want to style your hair, and you could be the makeup expert. Although
we'd have to have some brave men for that. Paul would do it. He would do it for us.
Paul would do it. Yes.
Paul could be my model.
Ah, that's perfect. I wouldn't have to be the model. I love it. I love it.
Rudy said something interesting. Rudy said, hold on, I'm doing my job right now. Actors don't like, and now the chat keeps coming and I can't keep up with it. Actors don't like 4K and 8K cams because you're seeing everything and they need way more makeup.
Right.
It's a great point. And sometimes if the makeup's too heavy, a 4K camera can show that as well. And that can be, you know, not cute.
Right. But there is something real about real. You know, wrinkles and
yeah, that's true.
And pit marked skin, and you know, all of that is part of the character, I think.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, sometimes you don't want to overdo it and just not be yourself.
Dan said he tried applying foundation, but he couldn't get the concrete to set.
That's funny.
Dan's got a good sense of humor.
He's good.
Good sense of humor. Folks, if you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook, you need to come on over to easternshorebroadcasting.com and watch, because that's where the chat room is. That's the part that you're missing out on. That's the part Tess and I are reading right now. And you can join in, or you can just read with the chat. I mean, like, Scott Pienta saying if it's too heavy, you'll tip over if you've got too much foundation on. So
He knows the term heavy with makeup.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Oh,
On
that's
Twitch,
a
there's
term.
at least one girl who does live stream cosplay body paints. I don't think many of these viewers are interested in painting techniques, so that's interesting. I will actually have to look that up on Twitch. Cosplay body paints. That's the right place to stream. Cosplay makeup.
What is cosplay?
People dress up as often anime characters or superheroes. They have big events for it where they go
Gotcha.
and, it's like role playing.
Gotcha. I've seen that. I know. Okay.
A bunch
got it.
of people like me, geeks. I'm trying to keep up with these. They get out of hand in your chat. It's a fun place to be.
Well, it's a good group, and in our cyber world where we have friends that we've never met, these folks are in the chat room every week. I mean, I haven't welcomed everybody, but we've got RJ and Texas Mike, Chuck Braverman from California, Martin S. from England, Dave and Chris and Anderson from Anderson is somewhere in the Caribbean, Barbados, I think. Paul and Scott, Prashana's in Nepal. Guest 945, Martin Stuckey is the camera recipient in Switzerland. Jan and Rod. DWAM is Guillaume in France. Jesper, Jerry, Chris Watts, Matt, Etonic. PI Engineering is Dan, of course. Ray J, Michael, you, Philip, Jerome, Bill in Texas. Bill has got the coolest setup out there, Bill Connor. Tommy Willis, Curtis, Chad, Rich Ignacio, the jet ski streaming guy. Merle from World of Live Streaming. Let's see, Democracy Live, Scott, Kenny, Rudy, Elmar, Martin K is here. Pedro,
Wow,
Ken Richer
long.
from Ken Richards. Ken Richer. He works for the company that manufactures Dum Dums. I think they ought to sponsor my show. That would be a perfect match. Dum Dums to
Dum Dums
sponsor
for days.
Streaming Idiots. Yes.
Okay, that makes
Scott,
sense.
Sean, Daniel, Mike, Charles Gooch. Charles makes a great. I mean, and everybody's added something to the common knowledge along the way. Somebody will say something about audio or video or recordings or this or that, and as they're going right now, they'll go back and forth. Anderson's talking about how hot it is in Barbados. Nobody is going to be too sympathetic with him about how hot it is in Barbados. But we get to know each other, and a community is forming of people that frequently will support each other. It's really great. Chuck called me the other day and said, Tom, I need the names of a couple people that can do live streaming sports and do it well. And so I gave him names of people that I had met through this show and through the chat room. And,
Wow.
it was a way for us all to connect together. Ken's going to send me a complimentary bag of Dum Dums. I'll eat them right here on the show. Yeah.
Wow, perfect.
Pedro's from Puerto Rico.
Our viewers have really had our back sometimes in troubleshooting moments. And I recently mentioned this in a blog. They're sometimes your best asset for learning how to improve your show or potential ideas. And that's what's another thing that's amazing about live streaming is the feedback that you get. Sometimes it's not always pretty or polite, but it's most of the time helpful, at least for you to consider things that you might not have considered before. And I want to say thank you to your audience today for, inviting me into your screens and not clicking away when you thought, oh my gosh, this girl's just going to talk about makeup. They're obviously very accepting because I'm not as techie as some of your other guests. But it's been a lot of fun. And I appreciate that they have accepted me today.
Well, they have accepted you. They have demanded that I bring you on the show, and they welcome you to the community. Yeah, yep. And the fact that you're a geek is a big part of it, you know. I mean, we have attractive folks come through here all the time, but they don't last because they don't understand the technology, they don't understand the benefits, they don't understand the future. The aha moment for me was like 2008, 2007, when I duct taped a webcam to a tripod and broadcast a soccer tournament for a weekend. And all of a sudden, after that, I got
you
this.
You duct taped the camera to a tripod.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. That's all there was. This is 2008. They didn't. There wasn't even threads on the bottom of the webcam to put it on a tripod. But we found a company that would give us a little web page, and we had a postage stamp sized video screen on it, and we broadcast that, and people went nuts over it. They couldn't see anything. They could see little ants running around, but they got it. And that's when I realized this is a thing. This is TV for the common person. Anybody can do it. And, I'm doing it so anybody can do it.
Yeah, you sure are.
Michael Wilson says, do you have an archive of that stream? Michael, we weren't even thinking about archives way back then. This was this was before Ustream ever came around even. Yeah.
Yeah. That would be funny though.
Yep. Hey, you've got to go pick up some kitties or a kitty.
Yeah, I got to go get my baby.
But
I had so much fun though. Thank you for having me.
Well, you had me on your show, so the least I could do is have you on mine. And then we're going to get you back.
Yeah, we're old pals. This will happen again, vice versa, hopefully.
We're going to get you back after the first of the year to do makeup for live streaming.
We have an idea. I think we should go with it.
Okay. Awesome. Everybody say goodbye to Tess. Tell her thank you.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Right. Okay, there they go. Very good. All right, Tess, we'll catch you later.
All right, thank you, Tom.
Be good. And tell Paul thanks for all the tech help, too. That was great.
Absolutely. And don't forget the drivers.
Oh, yeah. I'm thinking drivers. I'm not driving to Pennsylvania. Yes. I'll send an email. Drivers for Tess. Got it. All right. Got it. Cool. Catch you later, Tess.
Bye, Tom.
Okay.
That
was Tess. And it was, let's see, where's the post show button? There we go. Oh, post show has still got Tess in it. And she's trying to figure out how to kill her connection. Let's go with this post show. There we go. Well, Tess did a great job, didn't she? Y'all need to send her an email. And you'll have to go to the PTZ Optics website, ptzoptics.com, to find out her email. But send her a note and tell her that you want to see her on the show again, because she's very talented, and we're fortunate to have somebody like that. In fact, we're fortunate to have the entire PTZ Optics family as such an embracer of the live streaming industry. They really have embraced it. They're developing products that are keyed to it now with the NDI camera. Yes, that's something that will work in a broadcast environment, but it's going to work in a live stream environment really, really easily. And so, thumbs up to the folks at Haverford Systems for doing that, and PTZ Optics in specific. All right, let's see. Jan missed most of the show. He had a very important phone call. Well, that tells you where we rank. Anderson says she's crazy and sweet. You need more of her. I agree. Daniel missed the show. He had a customer come in. Sorry about that, Daniel. We'll just have to start over. That's right. Very good. Michael says they make products high enough quality to be used in the more lucrative TV broadcast industry and choose to focus on live streaming. That says a lot in my book. Michael, I think they focus a lot of different places. But I think we see the focus that they have on live streaming, and I certainly appreciate it, because obviously they're putting a lot of time, energy, and money into it, not just the things they give away, and doing things like the streaming awards, but also the investment they've made into the engineering behind their NDI camera. That was a major investment of time and money on their part to do that. And I'm hoping it's going to pay off for them big time. And by the way, if you're interested in the NDI PTZ Optics cameras, we have them in our store today at easternshorebroadcasting.com. They're not shipping yet, but you can pre-order them, or you can send me an email and say, Tom, reserve one for me. So I'm happy to do that for sure. Jan says, let's just say it will be revealed in due time. Well, Jan is going to have a contract with everybody in roller derby. So he's going to wrap up the whole industry and have the live streaming world of roller derby. He'll be the only source, single source. That's good. All right, Tommy says, on a serious note, PTZ Optics has infomercials just like Streaming Idiots, and put out info on other phases of live streaming. That is what makes both shows so popular. Thank you, Tommy. That plus we pay all our viewers. You knew that, didn't you, Tommy? No, I'm teasing. Oh, goodness gracious. So mark your calendars, 7 o'clock in the evening Eastern time next time. Sorry for those folks in Europe, but that's the only time I could get Zach on the show. He has a regular full-time day. Mike Latta's like, pay? I didn't get my check. Oh, my goodness. So next week, Zach Adams. Now, Zach and I go way back to that VidBlaster guy days. He was on my show. In fact, that show is still in the archive if you want to go back and see it. He was putting together a pilot series that he hoped was going to get picked up on TV. It didn't make it, but it was a great idea. And or at least the base concept, I think I liked, was sort of a what was it? Kind of like The Bachelor or something like that. With a different kind of twist. Not particularly my style, but that's okay. So anyway, Zach's going to come on next week and talk about winning the streaming awards as the producer of Cruise Week TV. And Cruise Week TV has really taken off like a rocket. They've done a great job with that. They've gotten a wonderful community, and a community that numbers in the thousands, which is really, really cool. Charles Gooch remembers that show. Didn't he have like 20 cameras going? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And he had them in, I think it was a house somewhere in South or Central Florida on the coast. And all the cameras live streamed to a server in North Carolina, where Zach picked them up and brought them into VidBlaster to mix them together. It was really interesting. Michael wants to know, what's the record for most cameras on a multi-angle live stream? Well, don't know. Good question. Good question. And then coming up 2 weeks from today is William Warfield from Prep Spin will be on. And I think Prep Spin has renamed itself, not to be so prep focused, but I think they're still going to do a lot of high school sports. And then 3 weeks from today, Kurt Middlebrooks, who you probably don't know, from Streaming Star Pros in St. Petersburg, Florida, is going to be on the show. And Kurt and I go way back, and he's got a unique, how would I describe it? He thinks about the live streaming business maybe a little differently than some of us, and so I think you're really going to like that. And then coming up August 23rd, Larry Megan with Night Owl TV will come on. And Larry does a couple of different shows. One of the shows is it's kind of a QVC for high-end watches, which is really interesting. But the story of how he got that show on the air is really what I want to talk with you guys about. Some of the technological challenges that he faced to do that. Bouncing things off of servers in different places. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So Zach next week, William 2 weeks, Kurt 3 weeks, and Larry 4 weeks. I've asked Dr. Andrew Cross to come on the show. If you know him or have any pull, tell him to answer my email. No, his assistant's helping me, but I haven't heard back from them yet. But we'd like to get Dr. Cross on the show, just kind of as a follow-up to the show that he did with PTC Optics last week and the follow-up he did with Leo Laporte the week before that. So it'll be good now that the dust is beginning to settle a little bit with NDI 3.0 and NDI HX. that we can talk about that intelligently, and also kind of out of out of the world where somebody has something to gain. I mean, Leah Laporte is a live streamer from way back that uses the new tech TriCaster. So obviously there's a connection there. On the show last week, PTZ Optics has got a new NDI camera, and so there was a connection there. Now we're going to market the PTZI NDI camera, and vMix has NDI. Golly, so maybe we do have more of a connection than I thought. Yeah, golly, gee. eTonic says, Tom, could you put the schedule on Google Calendar? That sounds great. Well, I would do that. I've got it on mine. I'll see if I can figure out a way to publish it on the website. That's a good idea. Or at least just put a little blurb on the website saying what's coming up next. Oh, excuse me. Goodness gracious. Jan says, intelligently on Streaming Idiots. Yeah, that's right. Well, every now and then. What is it they say? An analog clock, a broken analog clock is right twice a day. So there you go. Let's try something different. We've got a few minutes left here. And I had hoped, I think I had told you guys that, or I'd put a notice out on Facebook that I had purchased one of these. This is a Marshall camera, SDI camera, and the power supply came for it on Monday from Amazon, but the camera is supposed to arrive today. And remember, we heard the Jack Russell Terriers a little while ago announcing the arrival either of the mailman or of the UPS guy. So if you guys would sit tight for just a second, we can try to get that camera on and going and see how it compares to this one that I'm on right now. Is that good, or you want to say do it and come back later? Anybody have a desire? Michael Wilson says the price. I got it off of eBay, Michael, for $250. Go to eBay and Google Marshall 500, and the guy had about 6 or 7 of them, but they didn't have power supplies. All right, Merle says go for it. Kenny says good. All right, that's good. Ken says potty break. Okay, all right, so I'll be right back. If somebody shows up now and says, hey, where's Tom? Don't tell them that I'm not coming back. I'll be right back. Well, who sends somebody an empty box? I'm just kidding. It didn't show up. So, yep, Dave sent is that the same one? Yeah, that's it. So, sorry. I guess they're running late today. It must have been the postman instead of the UPS guy. So Bill says, don't do it. It's a trick. Yeah, that's right. Well, it was a trick. The trick was on me. So hopefully it'll come in today. I'll have a chance to play around with it, and we can use it next week. The camera itself is not very big. You know, supposedly it's pretty small, and it can fit on one of those swing arm boom stands. So it could come in as a second cam from the side, maybe something down from the top, maybe even used instead of the PTZ Optics camera here. I mean, the PTZ cam is nice, but I don't use any of the functions. I think the only function I use is the focus and the zoom, and occasionally I'll turn the camera a little bit one way or the other, but I'm not using the presets about it. Any kind of optical zoom or anything, I think the only zoom is going to be the zoom in vMix. I mean, the ability to zoom it in vMix itself. The camera is fixed focus from what I understand. It doesn't have any zooming capacity. But Dennis Washington was using the 500 on his show last week. You remember, if you didn't see that show, go back and take a look. And I thought it was pretty cool, and I started looking around for them, and just happened to. Generally, they're about $400 or $500, or excuse me, maybe $500 or $600. But I found this older model on eBay, and in fact, I'm meeting with the representative from the Marshall Company tomorrow to talk with them about adding this camera to our lineup, if it turns out to be a good cam. Martin S. says it's a fixed cam lens. There you go. So it's just going to have focus. But it is a interchangeable lens. So you do have, Michael, that's not quite the same as a zoom. In fact, it's not anything like a zoom, but there might be situations where you could use a different kind of lens. Probably more for a close-up than anything else. Martin says they use that cam on the Funtime vMix show. There you go. Kenny says, we'll have to wait. What's for dinner? Let's see, what is for dinner? Actually, hamburgers. And I cook a mean, medium rare hamburger. Bill says, interested in if it can do a good, clear close-up. Well, I don't know that I would spend that much money, Bill, for a good, clear close-up when I can get a Logitech C920 to do a good, clear close-up for $60. The only problem with the good, clear, with the Logitech is that it does eat up some bandwidth. So there's that. Merle says the sample videos on YouTube look really good, so I'm hoping that's the case too. Martin says it's a CV mount camera designed for broadcast. And what's a CV mount, Martin? I don't know. Michael says you could use a refurbished Vixia for cheaper. I don't know that that would be cheaper than a Logitech, but it would be cheaper than a Marshall. Martinez says DDI rather than HDMI. I think he means SDI. Yeah, SDI. And the one that I'm getting is the SDI version. The second connector there is actually a standard definition BNC connector. I mean BNC connector for standard definition, not for SDI, the top one. And then the bottom one is SDI. CV is the lens mount. Okay, I thought that's what it. So that's a style or a standard for lens mount is a CV. Got it. Okay, now the I think the new 505 Marshall 505 is HDMI or SDI. I mean, it has both on it, and it'll do either, but it won't do both. Well, it might even do both at the same time. I don't know. Has anybody got a 505? Martin says the 502 is waterproof and the 505 has HDMI. Okay, there you go. Waterproof. Oh, that would be interesting. That would be interesting. I guess the fact that it doesn't zoom kind of limits where you can use it, but you could use it as an owl cam. Michael says he knows far less about the internals of the cameras than he cares to admit. Michael, I think the majority of everybody is here. Oh, I see Samuel's here. Hey, Samuel, welcome. Samuel's from Norway. He was at StreamCon. He popped in. I missed you earlier. I apologize for that. Etonic says that Martin guy is pretty sharp. You can't get much past him. Yeah, don't pay any attention to him, though. Tommy says don't use it in the bathtub. Yeah, really. Indeed. Okay, well, I'm disappointed. Actually, I was hoping the camera would come this morning, and half hoping it would and half hoping it wouldn't, because if it didn't, I wouldn't be tempted to put it on and rearrange my whole setup. And then, of course, half hoping that it would. And then I realized, I'm running my PTZ Optics cam. It's the 12X SDI, which means it's also got HDMI. And so I'm running it on SDI. I could switch over and run it on HDMI so that I could put the Marshall right next to it on SDI. But I don't have an HDMI cable long enough. I mean, I've got a stack of cables like this, but they're all 6 and 8 footers. And I'll need a 15-footer to get from the camera to my streaming PC, which is in an adjacent closet. Yeah. Martin S. thinks the 200 can be submerged to 5 meters. Wow. Michael Wilson says the Postal Service lost their camera in the mail and basically said tough luck. Wow. That is bad news. Okay, Etonics says the cameras are used for QC and industrial applications along conveyor belts, for instance. That's interesting. That's really cool. The 200 range is a lipstick style cam. Yes, I had seen that on their website. That looked pretty cool too. And Merle's posting a link to a YouTube, excuse me, as a sample. Okay, that's cool. Well, let's see what we can do. Can we take a look at it? Can we take a look? Can we take a look at it? Oh, yes, we can. We know how to do that. We have the technology to support it. And this is the 500. Let's see, what resolution do we have there? That's 720, 60. Okay. That looks pretty decent. I mean, obviously it's not the best lit situation. And I guess this is a, there you go. Okay. All right, that's cool. Whoops, back to Tess on the post show. Well, there you go. There you have it. There you have it. All right, Etonics says, believe it or not, there are a lot of companies still buying Firewire cameras that do VGA. That's amazing. Obviously, they don't need much. Michael says one of our cameras still records on HDV, and we transfer with Firewire. Quality is perfect. Only downside is footage transfers in real time. Yeah. Ken said that looked a lot sharper looking at it directly than on the stream. Okay, that's good to know. I thought it looked pretty good. but you never know about streaming something that's been streaming. So there you go. Well, guys and girls, let's see, a couple little cleanup things here. By all means, dude, why not give Tess a little boost and go to her YouTube page, and it's just Tess Protesto, Protesto, and subscribe. That'll give her a little boost there. And of course, I would love it, of course, if you liked this video on YouTube and Facebook and shared it. That would be Marvy, and I would appreciate that a great deal. And then I guess I will see you next week. Last couple of comments. Martin he'd like to get a few of those. Michael says it does 1080i. We can't bring ourselves. He's talking about the HTV cam. Got it. And Chris has got to go. Thank you, Chris. Likely too. So I'm hoping UPS will be here soon so I can play. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate your support today, as always, and also your support of Tess. Tess is the next generation of live streamers that we really want to encourage. He's in Michael's generation, or she's in Michael's generation, the folks that we want to encourage, because they are going to really shape this industry over the next 20 years. And I appreciate her and folks like Michael being involved. So go get them. See you next week. Y'all take care now.